Hey everybody, this is Rob Keynes with goldsilverpros.com. It is Saturday, July 3rd, 2021, one day before American Independence Day. And as promised, I wanted to bring you my review of Kinesis token as compared to other cryptocurrencies and into gold and silver storage. So we're going to do that here. It'll be about a 15 to 20 minute video. And of course, if you're interested, I have an affiliate link with Kinesis. You can click on the link below in the description. Sign up for that if you wish. All right, on to it. A lot of people have asked me over the last couple of months, especially given the scandals going on in some of the gold storage market, where's a safe place to put their precious metals. And I've been scouring around looking for places that I think are trustworthy and at least have publicly available information to provide you confidence that they're legitimate schemes. In addition, I've been having interviews and doing a lot more research on the cryptocurrencies. We interviewed Kurt from CoinGeek on his views on Bitcoin SV, and we provided our views on the cryptocurrencies as well on the channel. But I'm going to kind of wrap all that up into one discussion. I'm going to compare it to Kinesis and where I think the value proposition resides in Kinesis and why I decided to open a Kinesis account and also have them on the channel. So the difference between cryptocurrencies and Kinesis is that Kinesis is backed by gold and silver, the KAU and the KAG. So it's 100% allocated, meaning if you own a KAU or KAG, or how many ever of those that you own, it is backed by the appropriate amount of metals. And I'll show you the audit report that they had on their website from last November. They do 2 of these a year. There's a little bit of a travel delay due to COVID, but the next one is coming out very soon. And so they get audited twice a year by a company well known for their gold audits in the space that audit a lot of other gold companies as well. So they have the backing, it is there, it's been confirmed. And Kinesis runs on a blockchain based on Stellar technology. So you can see at any point in time what's available on the blockchain, compare it over to the audit report as well. So it is backed, and the difference between a backed token and a private unbacked cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, Bitcoin SV, Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin, all of these others, is that you have something underlying that token that's providing the actual value. The problem that I have with the cryptocurrencies are numerous, but one of the ones that I have is that the cryptos themselves, while if they're proof of work systems, they do take a lot of energy to produce. Once that energy is spent, it basically provides no ongoing value to the cryptocurrencies. Take Bitcoin, for example. If you have your Bitcoin in a digital wallet or in a paper piece of paper where you print it out, either way, if anything happens to that wallet or that piece of paper, those Bitcoin are lost forever and can never be recovered. That doesn't happen with gold and silver, for example. Once that gold and silver is pulled out of the ground, it is a natural element that exists in physical form. It's not ethereal, and therefore it never really disappears. It's technically impossible to destroy gold or silver. You could hide it, you could bury it, you could steal it even, but it still exists. And so the value is inherent in that coin or bar when it's produced. When it's separated from all the Earth's crust rock, and it's put into that format, it now exists as a coin or a bar or as a piece of jewelry, if you wish, and it can never be destroyed in that form. If you turn off the power, if you have a power outage, you can lose your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, so on and so forth, and never get them back. And somebody steals from your wallet online, even if and that's the difference. You can secure your golden bullion in a secure facility. It's difficult to secure Bitcoin. There are some ways to do it, but it's not that easy. And given the cybersecurity wars that are going on, people know that I have a 25-year history in technology and a master's in information assurance, which is a cybersecurity degree. I know how hard it is to keep purely digital assets safe without having some underlying commodity or physical asset backing it up. So many other problems that I have with the cryptocurrencies, but I want to dispel the notion that because energy was spent in mining a Bitcoin, that it therefore has value, because Bitcoin is destructible and gold and silver are not, and that's the biggest difference. So if you want some sort of online token to trade in, you want it backed by something not ethereal, but something of physical form that you can actually confirm that it exists, and then you have legal title to. Now with Kinesis, you do have legal title to the gold. The gold and the silver in Kinesis are not held on the balance sheet of Kinesis. They have no claim to it. You're held as a beneficial owner to that gold or silver, and it's stored in a secure physical vault with major vaulting companies, and it's audited twice a year so that you know that that gold or silver is yours. This is not an unallocated gold or silver program like many of the schemes that are going on in the gold storage space right now. If you look at what we've talked about with the Perth Mint, for example, they have unallocated and they have lent metals out to third parties, which creates credit risk and counterparty risk. And the people that are getting into Perth Mint and buying the unallocated gold and silver at Perth Mint aren't really aware, because there have been complaints coming out saying, well, I thought the gold was or silver was there. And they didn't realize, because they didn't look at the balance sheet of what Perth had done. So all of these unallocated schemes in which you may actually not have legal title to a specific physical coin or bar or a specific amount of physical gold or silver in your name presents a lot of risk. Or if that company, even if you thought you had legal title, but that company had then leased it out or passed that metal out the back door without letting you know, without being transparent in that, and having, people from the company say otherwise on mainstream media and public media, that's a risk that you have. So a lot of the gold storage schemes they're not all created the same. If you have legal title to that gold or silver, as Gregor Gregerson came on the channel last week and from silverbullion.com.sg let us know, as long as you have legal title and it's in a secure facility, you own it and is audited, more than likely you're very safe. Any other set of circumstances and you're not. So you have to be careful when you're going into these physical programs as well, that you are the legal owner, that gold is stored at a reputable agency, that it's one-to-one allocated in your name, and that you can redeem it also. So one of the other things I like about Kinesis is you can redeem it. You have to have certain minimum amounts, but you can redeem that gold or silver and keep that gold or silver, or get physical access to that gold or silver, or you can redeem for cash, or you can trade your value in your KU or KEG and over to other parts of the market. So the other cool thing about Kinesis is there's a lot of outlets for you to trade in terms of other cryptocurrencies and things like that. So you're not limited to just either a gold or silver withdrawal or a cash withdrawal from your account. There's other options for you there. So the platform is very robust and it's connecting to all different parts of the financial ecosystem. They also, for US residents, have a debit card, so you can use that debit card to basically spend your gold or silver as well and get instant access to it in terms of redeeming it for the fiat money here in the United States, and then using that to purchase services or other physical goods or items. So that's another way that you could redeem that. So Kinesis makes it very easy, much easier than a lot of the gold and silver storage programs, especially the unallocated ones, to gain access to the value of your gold and silver as you need it, to trade it on various exchanges, to get the cash or to get the physical gold or silver delivered. So all of those are in place. So I like that. And there's some enhanced features over traditional gold and silver bullion storage. And again, Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies are ethereal. They're not real. They can be lost. They can be destroyed. That cannot happen to gold and silver. So when you have gold and silver backing up a token like you have with Kinesis, then you have the additional assurance that you actually have something of value. So I'm going to show the Kinesis website here for just a moment. We're going to walk through some of their documentation. I want to talk a little bit about their fees because people have had questions about that. So there are fees. The cool thing about Kinesis is they take about 20% of the fees generated from the trading in the network, and they give it out to Kinesis holders, Kinesis recruiters, such as myself, which has an affiliate link, or the mentors, which are the ones that create the new Kinesis. So there are exchange fees. Trade execution fees are about 22% for all currency pairs. Here's a table of the fees. There is a withdrawal fee, a minimum withdrawal amount, a minimum deposit amount here. You can go to their website and clearly see that. It is laid out explicitly. In fact, on this page, kinesis.money/fees, they have everything laid out for you: wallet transfer fees, account transfer fees. All of these are very reasonable. All of these fees are much lower in many cases in which you would see in a traditional financial transaction at your bank, or in a transaction that you would have with many of the vaulting services. So also Kinesis charged charges you no money to store your metal, because the transaction fees, when you transact on the Kinesis network, pay for that storage. And in fact, they take some of those fees and pay it back to the holders and the recruiters and the mentors as an incentive to both hold and to spend and to create the Kinesis KAGs and KAUs to facilitate people not just buying and holding and storing. So this is a little bit of difference between where you're gonna hodl your cryptocurrency forever like a Bitcoin. Kinesis has incentives to have people actually use it as a monetary unit. And that's another advantage that Kinesis has over Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero, so on and so forth. I have published several articles over the years on Seeking Alpha, and I brought this to my channel, my YouTube channel, and my website as well. Research from industry experts in the private cryptocurrencies that most private cryptocurrency is speculation. About 85% of the transactions are speculation. Only about 10 to 15% are considered to be actual legitimate monetary transactions. That's why Bitcoin is highly speculative asset, and you see the big rises and crashes of 50 to 80% very frequently, because it's all speculation. It's people building up the bubble of their cryptocurrencies and then selling out, and there's the crash. And then they build up the bubble and then they sell out. And if you've looked at the reviews that I've had of, say, the relationship in Bitcoin and Tether, for example, on my channel with Kieran Von Hest, who goes by Dezo or Dezo Games on Twitter, then you know that most of the inflows into Bitcoin were from big entities, and the sales were to smaller entities. So in other words, big guys are pumping up the Bitcoins of the world and selling to the unsuspecting investors, who then take the loss when it crashes. That doesn't mean that some smaller investors haven't made money along the way, but the patsy at the poker table, if you will, in Bitcoin are the smaller investors. It's a classic pump and dump scheme. We've seen it play out over and over again. This is not going to happen with Kinesis, and hasn't happened with Kinesis, because it is a gold and silver backed token. So the value is actually in the gold and silver stored, and there's incentive to facilitate trade with the Kinesis token as an actual currency. That's a big difference, and that's an advantage that they have. Again, here are the fees that you get. Monthly card fee $199, an ATM withdrawal in the US $150, international $250. I mean, these are, yeah, I go to the ATM down the street for my credit union or my bank account, and they're much higher than this. So all of the fees in the system are very reasonable. They share the transaction fees, 20% of the transaction fees, with the network, depending on if you're a mentor, recruiter, or a holder. And so again, incentive to both hold and to spend and transact in Kinesis. Also, if you want to own KVTs, that's a way that you can invest. There's only be 300,000 KVTs. That's a way that you can invest in Kinesis as an entity, as an organization, and own and get value for that as well. So there is that if you want to do private investment into Kinesis itself. So that's basically the basic setup. There is a site here, Kinesis Money Exchange Physical, for how to exchange your physical. There's a way to do it. There's a step-by-step guide here that tells you exactly how to do it. The one thing that makes Kinesis different, I think, than any other gold or silver bullion storage program is that it was born out of ABX. So ABX, the allocated bullion exchange, was formed first, and it was formed for the purpose of digitizing the gold trade. And then on top of ABX was built the Kinesis platform. So ABX was the first digitized international gold trade network, and then Kinesis rides on top of that. So Kinesis was built purposefully, not specifically as a token first. It was built to allow digital trackable trade to allocated gold on the ABX. And then once the ABX was established and all of those relationships built within the gold and silver industry, then Kinesis is built on top. That's why Kinesis is very capable of quickly adding new features, of providing the liquidity needed, of providing the low fee structure, was because a lot of what is underlying Kinesis has been built already in the form of ABX. Anyway, more information there on the website if you want to understand ABX, what underlies Kinesis, and how it's stored. They have a PowerPoint on the site as well, or a PDF, which basically goes over the different yields. So again, mentor yield, depositors yield, holder yield. It's got a table here showing you what those are. So again, they're paying you to either be a holder, a recruiter, or a mentor, or a depositor. And it's got the various rates here, and that's to facilitate the community using Kinesis. So it's not like a gold and silver storage program in which you pay a fee and then you pay a fee yearly or monthly, or whatever the case may be, and you hold that gold or silver, and eventually you'll lose some of that gold or silver over time. There is no storage fees with Kinesis, so it doesn't whittle away the value of your KAUs and your KAGs and the bullion supporting that. And what it does is it pays you some fees back to facilitate you trading. And they recently passed $1 billion in trades. And I will show you that. Here's a table right here. This was released on April 9th on the Kinesis blog. The monthly trade volume, you can see you've got this really robust trade volume as Kinesis was built and people open Kinesis accounts. And you can see it's happening very quickly. If you just go from March 2020 to March 2021, the trade volume has absolutely exploded. So unlike Bitcoin and the other cryptos, you're actually seeing facilitation of trade on the Kinesis network, and it's going basically exponential. This looks like a hockey stick chart, a positive hockey stick chart, one in which it indicates that people are utilizing the system. They're not just hodling, and they're not speculating either to crash the cryptocurrency. It's not a bunch of big users coming in, minting the Kinesis gold and silver, and then trying to crash it because this isn't one of those private cryptocurrencies. It actually is backed by the metal. There is incentive to use it as an actual currency or an exchange system, and that's what's happening, okay? And you can see it clearly in their data. So that's an important factor to consider if you actually wanted to use a token as a currency and not as a speculative investment in which it's going to lose 50 to 80% of its value all the time because it's not backed by anything of real physical value. You know, if you want to do that, you would go to Kinesis. You wouldn't go to the Bitcoins and the Litecoins of the world, and that's a big difference there. Now, I want to talk about the audit because they do have an audit twice a year. I've been told the next audit is due out any moment. They're actually performing those procedures now. I've talked to management several times on that. There were some delays due to travel restrictions remaining from COVID, but they're working through that and we'll have the next audit. But I wanted to go over the November audit, the very first one. It was very successful. I'm actually going to go over the audit report. I'm a former auditor, for those of you who may not have watched my channel before. So I've done this type of audit work, inventory counts and things like that, physical inspections. Actually did this for many years. And so I'm just going to walk you through what they have. Now, this is very key to understand that what Kinesis is publishing on their audit report. They're publishing not only their own statement, but they're also publishing the auditor's statement as well, including the actual samples that they took to audit the actual metal and the confirmation that the gold and silver being held actually met the amounts on the blockchain at a specific period of time. With other audits that you see in the gold and silver storage space, you do not get this level of detail. I rarely, if ever, see this level of detail. Now, there is a gold storage company in Australia that contacted me for advice on how to structure their internal audit so that they could provide their customers assurance of what they actually have and that they actually have, that the chain of title and chain of custody has been met, that's actually theirs, that somebody independent has conducted an audit that's trustworthy and done it in a manner in which it's very transparent and produces the samples that they pulled to confirm the physical site audits that they did. In other words, this audit we're about to go through Kinesis was exactly what I told that Australian bullion company they needed to do and what they're currently setting up. So, and I didn't consult Kinesis on this. I didn't have a business relationship with Kinesis at the time that they did this audit, but they basically took exactly what I would do as an auditor and what I had consulted with that Australian bullion company do, and they put it here in the paper. So Kinesis has a corporate statement about they had passed their audit in November of 20, and they did a comparison of the KAU and KAG, and the independent audit confirmed that the Kinesis currency's circulation were as followed and verifiable on the blockchain, and the independent audit confirmed the metal quantities held by Kinesis AG as of Friday, 16th October, and they were exactly the same amount. So they actually physically had all of the metal that it said on the blockchain, okay, that supports Kinesis. And so that is a perfect example of how you confirm that it's an allocated program one-to-one and that they have what they say they have. And Allocated Bullion Exchange came out with a report and said on Friday, 16 October 2020, the ABX produced an inventory report of the precious metals attributed to Kinesis AG. Remember, Kinesis AG uses the Allocated Bullion Exchange for the purpose of independent audit. This inventory report is given to Inspectorate International, a Bureau Veritas company. Now, for those that don't know, Inspectorate International, Bureau Veritas have been well known in the precious metal industry to do audits. They're well-respected companies, so that's what you want. And they conducted the independent audit across their respective ABS vaulting locations on 22nd October 2020. And further down, we're going to get the actual site audits with the actual bars that they pulled, confirming that it was there and that they had a positive auditor's opinion. Now, at the Perth Mint, what we got was the government's attestation, Western Australian government's attestation that it went well, but we didn't get the underlying auditor's reports. So that's one thing that's missing from Perth. And I questioned that when I was going over the available information on the Perth audit. With Kinesis, you don't have this issue. They're explicitly providing you the audit inspection reports for each site directly from the auditor. So again, you can have confirmation that was positive audit report straight from the horse's mouth, the auditor themselves. So there are several site audit reports here. I'm just going to go over one. You're free to go to this report on Kinesis's website. You just click on audit at the bottom and click on this little button. You'll get this PDF and you can inspect them all for yourself. But it says audited by who, issued to ABX, commodities, gold and silver bars at Loomis at a certain location. They black that out because they don't want you to know where the location is for security reasons, but they put it in there. Place of intervention, persons in attendance is going to be the auditors. Okay, they're going to say it took place on the 22nd of October 2020, and I'm walking you down the audit report to know this is a legitimate, auditor's report. I've done these before. Facts and observations. This is important. This is your positive attestation. The gold and silver bars were satisfactorily stored in a secured vault. The identification of the auditor and all personal belongings were checked. The auditor was accompanied by 2 vault employees. The holdings were kept segregated from other account holdings within the vault. So it's allocated in segregated metal. This is important. Segregated from the aggregate perspective. All of the metal stored on behalf of Kinesis is segregated into a Kinesis specific spot, in this depository. That's important. It's not intermingled or commingled with other holders, with other companies. And the holdings were stored in sealed plastic bags and boxes. So that's basically a tamper-proof mechanism so that if somebody gets into the actual vault, when you have sealed plastic bags and boxes, it's tamper-proof, because if they're going to, do anything, get the metal out, there's going to be evidence that it was tampered with. And that's extremely important when you're talking about a physical asset, that you can tell if it was tampered with or if what's in a bag or a box, potentially something has been removed. This is a very good control to have, physical control to have. So they did a sampling of the holdings, the silver and the gold. And this is typical in an audit, you will do a sampling. So if there's 100 bars there, you may pick 5 or 10 or whatever the case may be. So dependent upon the amount that they had, they sampled and they compared it was there. On to the next page of this site inspection report. The total quantity of bullion items held in customer vault storage for each product was counted and compared with the total quality of bullion items for a respective product type as outlined in the vaulting provider's inventory report. Remember, that inventory report further up the audit, when compared with the actual blockchain, had matched 1 for 1. Okay, same report. The total quantity of bullion items held in customer storage for each product type was counted and compared with the total quantity of bullion items for respective product types when compared to the vault management system. So they're looking at the actual sub inventory types of physical metals. The physical count, vaulting inventory report, and ABX vault management system were found to record identical inventory counts. This is something you don't see in a lot of audits, where they're going to take the records from the computer system, the physical records are going to tie it all together end to end. This is what you don't see in other audit reports. Details of packaging, verification of serial number of bars, weightment. They took a weighting using a Sartorius weighing scale. So they're using a professional grade weighing scale. And they're going to tell you that the difference is it actually weighed slightly more, 0.08 grams than what was recorded. So it's actually positive, slightly heavier weight than to be expected, which is very nice. It means the metal's actually there and you have a little bit tiny bonus on top of it just to be safe. It gives you a degree of safety. So they did this for the gold and silver. And here's the conclusion. Inspectorate conclude that the information provided to it, being the vaulting provider's inventory report, ABX's vault management system, and physical holdings audit on October 22nd, 2020, all reconcile. We hereby report the above inspection is based on findings, observations at the time and place indicated above. Only does not refer to any other matters. The inspection has been carried out to the best of their knowledge. And they do the rest of the site reports. If you go through here, They'll do the other ones. They'll do Malka Emit. Okay, you come down here and they do Brinks. And you come down here and they do another Brinks, and so on and so forth. So all of the different locations were site audited, so you get that completeness of audit. All right, so I've been through the audit report. That's quite a long little exposition there. But again, that's what you don't see in a lot of other gold and silver storage programs, especially unallocated ones, is getting such a complete audited report. And as a former auditor, that makes me feel, you know, happy and secure, warm and fuzzy, as we say in the auditing industry, that what they say they have, they have. And so let's recap the values of Kinesis. Kinesis is backed by gold and silver, something that's actually pulled out of the ground and actually physically exists. It's not ephemeral, and it cannot be essentially destroyed. The cryptocurrencies do not. Kinesis is fully audited. Most of the gold and fully allocated and segregated within the vault. Most of the whether pool allocated or unallocated schemes across the world are not. But Kinesis, you have that. So that's an advantage over traditional gold and silver storage schemes. And going back to the cryptos for a second, the value of the cryptocurrencies, the private cryptos like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, it is very low. It's not as a currency. Only about 10 to 15% of the transactions could even be considered currency transactions. Most of it's speculation by big players that then pump it out to the smaller players. We see that on the flows that several sites have done of the cryptocurrency pairs, and how you're getting into Bitcoin and out of Bitcoin and into Tether and out of, you know, all of that stuff. And we've had Dezo on the program. So it's a speculative investment, highly volatile, and not a real currency. The cryptocurrencies aren't real currencies by actual physical transactions. Kinesis, however, is nothing but, because there are incentives to actually use it as a spendable currency. And we have the chart showing that since its inception, it's basically the volume has been going up and they've reached over $1 billion. So proving, therefore, that it's actually being used not only as a store of value, but as an actual exchangeable currency, as an exchange of value. And that's what the system was designed for. So that's going to wrap really quickly my review of Kinesis. I feel pretty good about that product. That's why I had them on the channel. Just to let you guys know, I talked with their management 4 to 5 times, kind of put them through the ringer on a meeting before I brought them on the program, given all of the issues we see with the private cryptos and all the issues that we're seeing in the gold and silver storage space, and then did my inspection, and then felt comfortable with having them on the program, and then wanted to provide you guys this review to provide assurance over that I feel comfortable with them. Of course, you got to do your own due diligence, but you see, when you do the kind of diligence that I do, then you start to feel more comfortable with it. And that's what needs to be done. Anytime you get into any investment like a Bitcoin or a Litecoin or a Monero, you have to do this level of inspection, understand how it works, get into the details. And if you're going to do metal storage, you have to do the same thing. The cool thing about Kinesis is you get the benefits of both, and they actually do what they say they do. They have independent third parties, and you can see people using it. So it's built a community. And I think that it's kind of the best of the both worlds. It's allowing you the token to use as an exchange. And it's allowing you to have vault metal storage that's dependable and reliable, so you don't have to store it in your house. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And they're very transparent and forthright, and answer questions and would satisfy, you know, a former auditor like me. So that'll wrap it up for the Kinesis review. A lot of you have been asking for this. A lot of you have also been asking for me to talk about some of the gold and silver storage programs. So I did that too here in this video. Wanted to do it all at once and wrap it into one analysis, so you can see what the value is, the pros and cons are of each system. Hope you guys have a wonderful July 4th and American Independence Day. For those of you who aren't in America, please just enjoy your weekends, your time with your families, and I will see you next week. On Monday, we are going to have a encore video presentation that my team put together, which takes and splices together lots of things that I've said about the cryptocurrency space and gold and silver over the last few months into a video. I think you guys are going to enjoy that. Stay tuned to that for Monday. It's going to wrap together all the various things I've been saying in that space into one video. I think you guys will enjoy it. And then we'll be back next week with more fresh content. I have interviewed Ronald Stouflet from the Incrementum, and he's going to be on the channel next week. And of course, we're going to have more from me on my research as well. Have a happy weekend wherever you are in the world. And congratulations to the United States for their independence here on July 4th. See you guys next week.